All right, gentlemen. All right, kings. Welcome back. So, from the good people over at Insolent Audits, we are going to take a look at some women in their 40s and, yes, 50s, wondering why they can't find a man. Oh, my.
Listen, I would like to know why. I am 42 years old. And I'm not saying that I'm looking for anything, but this is just a question that I have. Why is it that men in their 40s and 50s want to come talk to me and be like, but I don't really want anything serious. I don't really know what I want. Blah, blah, blah. And then I have got men from like 25 to 30 in my inbox being like, hey, mama, can I take you on a date? Be like, they're over here like, I'll give you anything you ever wanted. Give me a chance. Like, is it because you're 25 and your mama left? You just need another mama? What is going on?
Ma'am, it is because you are target practice. These guys can't get women their own age. And from a guy who's done it himself, I think the biggest gap I ever had was I was 28 and she was 47. And she thought it was going to be a relationship. Ma'am, I took you to a cheap, squeaky mattress motel, and you think I want something serious from you? You are a slow Tuesday stress reliever, so to say. And these guys that your age don't want you because they're looking at you like you're just expired product.
So I was dating two people at the same time. I was dating a rich guy and I was dating kind of a poor guy. Like poor as in he lived out of his van poor. Like he didn't have a home poor, okay? And rich as in he drove a Mercedes Benz. And I went on 2 dates with both of them. I always like to give people, the benefit of the doubt. Like we never know what's going to happen. And the poor guy showed up to the second date with a kid's book that was supposed to help me learn a new language, which was very sweet because I was trying to learn a new language, and a box of gluten-free cookies because I can't eat gluten and I love treats. And that was so sweet. And so that was on our second date. Whereas the rich guy showed up empty-handed both times. So all of you girls out there and guys and gays who are trying to manifest a rich man, you don't want to manifest a rich man. You want to manifest a generous one.
Imagine if she got pregnant by the poor guy and then she'd look at the rich guy like, oh, you're going to pay for another man's child? Listen, this guy doesn't have to show up with a present or a gift. His presence is present enough. He's given you the gift of his time. For a lady who's past the age of 30 and has a bunch of arm tattoos and is, from the looks of it, probably a former, pole dancer, you had this great dinner. What, and you want a gift? Lady, I got the plethora. I got a roster of women. What makes you think you're special? But Mr. lives out of a van. He's got to step it up because he ain't got nothing to offer. Were you going to divorce me and take half of my nothing?
There are some allegations that have been brought to my attention that are going around on the internet. One is that I talk about my age too much, and the other, I'm a man hater. And look, I'm guilty. Like I do be thinking that Lindsay's right. Being 40 and single is a lot of young women's worst fear. So me starting out that way is giving perspective, it's giving nuance, it's helping women see that you don't have to be married and have kids. You can buy your own home, you can travel the world, you can be very career focused, you can be on social media, you can have younger friends, you can have older friends. Like there's so many different ways to be fulfilled in your life. And if I didn't talk about my age, which initially when I got on this app, I didn't talk about my age, no one really gave a shit because quite frankly, they didn't know that I was 40 and that changes things, okay? And yes, I do also talk about men's poor behavior, not because I hate men. Unfortunately, I do love men. And I have a lot of good men in my life, which maybe I should talk about them more frequently. Thank you for calling that out. But I talk about it because I think that it could save a lot of young women a lot of heartache. When I go on a date and the man jokingly calls me a bitch on a first date, second date, yeah, I am going to call that out as a red flag because in my 20s, I dated a guy that did the same thing. And guess what?
Yeah, well, guess what? Look at this naked ring finger. Oh, it's so sad and so empty. And she's going to say, oh, yeah, you don't need a man to be fulfilled. You don't need children to be fulfilled. You can work a job and pay your own bills and buy your own house. If you were to ask this girl when she was 6 years old. Would you like to be 40 and single and seeking validation from strangers? Or would you like to have a husband and a loving family and be one day surrounded by your children and grandchildren and husband and be full of life and love? Or would you rather be a strong and independent woman who's stressed out about bills? Let's see what the 6-year-old version of her would actually choose.
This video is not a poor me, a pity me, anything like that.
As she
This
cries.
is truly a statement and a warning. The last situationship that I was in broke me. I let someone in completely, wholly, let my walls down, and loved like I never thought I could again. Never thought I could. That relationship broke me.
Well, that is unfortunate to let your walls down and have someone stomp all over your heart. But guess what? Welcome to dating as life as a man. How many of you guys have let your walls down and shown your goofy or your silly side to a woman just for her to say, oh, you're acting like a child, and then you become a robot? And then they wonder, why are you so nonchalant? Why don't you like react? Why don't you seem to care? And everything's like, oh, how's your day? Fine. How's everything going? All right. Like you just become a robot. It's like, if I'm going to let my walls down and then you stomp over my heart with your stiletto heels, well, guess what? My walls are going to be taller than the Great Wall of China.
Legitimate, serious question for the men out there. And I'm not trying to be funny or silly or goofy. And I'm trying to think how to frame this without coming off, well, just follow along. Stay with me on this. So today I'm getting on the elevator. At the same time, an extremely attractive guy is getting on the elevator with me, smoking hot. And I said, are you going down to 1? And he says, yeah. And so I pushed the number 1 button. Anyway, we get down to the first floor. We go our separate ways. But while I was on that elevator ride for those 10 floors, if I would have had think of a snake charmer in India, you know, the guys that play the flute and the king cobra comes up out of the basket and, you know, looks around. So my question is, men, how do you control that? You know, if you see an attractive woman on the beach, at the pool, in a bar, in the grocery store, question, men, is how do you control that?
Okay, several reasons how you control that. If she's referring to herself like, oh, well, this guy's attractive, but he's not, whipping out his willy at me. First of all, ma'am, you are expired product. Just like, when you guys go to Walmart and you go to the meat selection, you see the steaks for $18, $25, $32. And then you see the one that's never been bought and is on discount for like 30% off because the meat's starting to brown. Well, that's how these older ladies are. And another way we control our discipline of desires is that we look at it as a cost benefit analysis. Okay, yeah, I could try to talk to this girl. How do I know she's not going to freak out and scream, that I did something inappropriate? Or at least for me, because I don't want to be married or have kids. When I look at a girl and like, let's say the conversation chemistry is really like she's really easy to talk to and it's really easy going. I kind of think and go, no, I'm not going to pay her bills. She's not going to live with me. I'm not going to give her kids. I'm not going to give her marriage. And in a way, I can kind of take the wind out of my own sails. I go, okay, I'm not going to waste her time, because at a certain point, I just realized that kind of like I'm the problem and I can't be that guy that makes girls cry anymore. So that's another way I can control my desires. It's just at a certain point, you just realize tall, small, fat, skinny, ugly, beautiful, black, white, Latina, Asian, blonde, brunette, redhead. When you stick it in, it all feels the same. So once you realize that all the coochie is kind of the same, it's very easy to just sit back and relax and just like, yeah, it's just not worth the work.
Dating in your 50s is not really what most people think it is. I wish I could say it's fun, and I wish I could say it feels like meeting people organically out in real life. But unfortunately, it is dating apps, and most of the time it can feel like a full-time job that you never applied for. It's scrolling and swiping and trying to figure out if somebody is real or healed, or if they just present well online. And the truth is that I don't actually want more dates. I want alignment. I want consistency. I want reciprocity and emotional safety.
Then you should have not wasted your time and go and found out when you're in your 20s, maybe mid 20s, certainly before your 30s. I mean, come on, let's be real.
I had a coworker the other day ask me, like, when was I going to start dating again? You know, I've been divorced almost a year now. And she was like, you know, there's got to be somebody out there for you. And I was like, I don't think so. Every day on this app, I see women who are in my age gap specifically. I'm 54. So, like, in their late 40s, 50s, talking about dating, men in our age group. So, men in their late 40s and 50s. And I haven't seen a single positive story about it. Like, every single story time is terrible. And I guess when I think about it, like, what are the chances that I'm going to meet like a well-adjusted, normal, mentally healthy, physically healthy man in his 50s who's single? I mean, even if those men exist, they're all married. So what's left for, you know, a woman like me?
What's left for a woman like you are a bunch of horny little 20-year-olds who want to get their willy wet at the side of those big old calcium cannons. Anyways, guys, I figure that's enough rant and raving for this video. Remember, don't eat expired food unless you're really, really hungry. As always, take care and take it easy.